everybody. My name is Angie Morenga. You're watching Just Angie, where we have absolutely amazing conversations, and we're going to have one which we've seen even with your feedback every time we talk about marriage, relationships. Oh my goodness, the comments, the likes, the viewership really goes up. And we've been trying to figure out what it is about marriage and relationships that people want to really talk about. But I think maybe they don't want to make mistakes. They want to get it right. You know, I'm always amazed that Gen Z said the only thing they fear is marriage. I was like, marriage? Why marriage? But it's a big one, and it's something to unpack. But I also have the honor today. These are my spiritual parents, my spiritual authorities. And so that for me is also very, very special. Pastor Muriithi Wanjau and Pastor Carol Wanjau. But I'm going to let them introduce themselves in the way that they would like you to know them. And then we're going to have a conversation. Karibuni sana.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
I'm so honored.
We're great.
thank
Glad
you.
to be here.
Very
Yeah.
honored
Ladies
and
first.
blessed.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, my name is Carol Wanjau, and I'm a pastor at Mavuno Church, and I'm so excited and thrilled to be serving God in that capacity. Professionally, I'm actually a marriage and family therapist. And we've been married for 30 years. We've
Wow.
got 3
Ah,
children.
we can't even just like 30 years.
30
Woo,
years.
hallelujah, Jesus.
And this is the first time I'm saying on air, soon to be grandparents. Would you believe that? Yeah, soon to be
Yay.
grandparents.
Hallelujah. Grandparents is the best thing ever. Wow.
Yeah, so yeah, that's me.
Thank you,
All
Pastor
right.
Carol.
And I'm Carol's husband. That's first point of note. But my name is Muriithi Wanjau, and I'm a movement leader of the Mavuno movement of churches, where we lead with my wife here. We're entrepreneurs, we're authors, we do many, many other things. We love Jesus. That's the thing that we really believe is special about us. We really do. And
Yeah.
we're excited to see our generation becoming everything that God created it to be.
Yeah. And you know, I was thinking about that this morning. I was just reflecting before we go into the Better Together journey. And I was actually reflecting on our tagline, which was ordinary people becoming fearless influencers of society.
Yeah.
And that's what we became, Pastor M and Pastor Carol. That's what we became. We actually we were just ordinary people. And through a process, we have actually begun. We're actually influencing society and doing great and mighty things that you pulled out of us. So
Amen.
for me, I'll always be grateful. And even when I look at the people around me, you know, the Kanjis, Riga, all the different people who we've been on this journey for a long time. It's been, Richie was here earlier. It's been amazing.
The best is yet to come.
Yeah.
We haven't seen anything yet.
I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful. So I'm grateful for the Mavuno movement of churches. And I think I've also said it. If there was no Mavuno, I don't think I'd have gotten born again. I needed a Mavuno. I needed something from jumping from the club
Yeah.
into the church. This was a good transition. I was like, these people look safe.
Yeah.
And there was just the culture, which was so amazing. So I'm always grateful for that.
Wow.
But here today, we're here to talk about Better Together. You better get yourself a copy, because what I love about this is you're married. You've been married for 30 years. These days,
Yes.
that is, hey, I don't even know. That is phenomenal. That is with Jesus, but it's good because people are not staying married for long periods of time. So that's something. But even before we go into, I'm already jumping into the chapters that I like in the book. But how did this journey begin?
Wow. Very interestingly, actually. So when we got married, we were broke, completely that broke. We had just graduated from university, and I think we just graduated, and maybe 6-7 months later, we got married after completing an internship at Nairobi Chapel, and I think what he could promise me was that he'll show me the world.
Wow.
That
I
was
had
his
potential.
promise. He had potential.
You had
all I had.
potential.
That's all he had.
Imagine.
And so at that point, he told me, I'm going to show you the world. Now, I didn't even really pay attention. I was so smitten, really so smitten by
good.
this man.
Amazing.
I was so in love with him. I remember our first house was, do you guys know Plot 10? Do you guys know Plot 10?
Plot 10.
Plot 10 is where you have houses that are behind like a butchery.
Yes.
And then
Imagine you live
they
there.
are
Oh
single
my
rooms
goodness.
or double rooms, and then you're sharing the toilets, and you're
And the
sharing
bathroom, my
the
goodness.
facilities.
clothes
They're
line.
It's
outside.
even unimaginable. We just cannot even imagine it.
That's what I
Yes.
could. That's what I could take her to, and she loved me enough to leave her her parents' mansion in Karen
Yeah.
to move with me
To
into a
plot 10.
plot 10 in the
Plot
Goreti
10.
corner.
Yeah. So that's how
Amazing.
we started. And yep, those were 30 years ago. And so maybe we could say that's where the book really started, because
This book.
yeah, that's where it started, because that's, the book is really about our journey. Our journey just through those 30 years, the lessons that we have learned. But the idea of putting the book together came when we were in Cape Town.
Yeah.
He took me to.
So he did fulfill his promise.
Completely.
Well, among other places I've taken her.
Other places.
But I took her to Cape Town on our 30th anniversary,
Mm.
and we were celebrating. We spent about 10 days
10
there,
days.
Oh, good.
and it was a phenomenal time. And
Amazing
as we were
person.
there, Carol is the one who came up with the idea, and she said, what if I could write a blog post? I think it was blog.
Yes, I
She
wanted
was
to
thinking
do
of,
that.
can I blog like 30 lessons we've learned, or I've learned, or 30
I think it was 30 things I appreciate about
30 things
you.
I appreciate about
I mean,
you.
it was that
Yeah.
simple.
So as we were
Yeah.
talking, then we just started brainstorming. I don't know, for me, it was such a good idea. I was like, what if we do it together? And then it moved to, what if we just could write 30 lessons, 30 of the most important lessons we've learned
You've learned.
over 30 years. So as we just played with the idea, it became, wow, okay, that's a nice idea. So it took us almost 10 months to put those ideas together. She wrote her list of 15, I wrote my list of 15, and then we sort of married those ideas into like, okay, a chapter. Then we thought, okay, why don't we turn this into a devotional? So it's not just a book you
Oh.
read, but it's actually got some questions, so you can actually, a couple can even pray through it. So it can even be something that you give as a gift to somebody who's getting married. And it's
This
like,
is going
here's
to be a good
30 experiences that can even be over 30 weeks,
gift.
where once a week you read this together and you just ask, how do we apply this lesson
Yeah.
this week?
And the truth is that, when you're married, you can run out of things to talk about.
Yes.
You really can.
People are really.
And it's just about, okay, so how's work, or how are the kids, and usually it's centered around the kids. And we just thought these are just 30 things that will get you having conversation starters that are outside of the normal conversations that you're having every day. They kind of stretch you, they get you thinking just about how to grow and grow in your relationship.
But some of them are from our mistakes.
Yeah.
Which is
So
good.
we laugh
Which is
about,
so good.
now there are things we can laugh about, but
But
those
at that
days,
time, we were
they
not
were not
laughing.
funny.
We were not funny at that time.
But now part of what we also say is the best teacher is not experience. Experience is a painful teacher. The best teacher is someone else's experience.
That's
so we always like, since we went through the pain,
You don't
why
have
not
to.
help other people by giving them our pain stories? So
Yeah.
then they don't have to go through that. They can
Yes.
actually learn from our experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's a pain. Would you like to hear a pain story?
Yes. What's your pain story?
Hey. So,
The 30 pain stories. Which
I
one do you
think
want to
that's
talk
it.
about?
Just one. You can't tell them everything. They have to go by the book. So
I
you
don't
can have
know.
one or
I don't
two.
know if it made it into the book, really.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay,
really
good.
don't know. Yeah, this is bonus.
Okay.
So-
Bonus is
Bonus
so
chapter.
good. Thank you. Bonus chapter.
So it was our 5th wedding anniversary.
Mhm.
We were students at the time. We were in California. And at that point, I was, it's our 5th wedding anniversary. I can plan for this anniversary. And I'll just invite him to come along. I was feeling like a very empowered woman at the time. I could just make this decision. I could do it. So anyway, I planned for a vacation in Las Vegas.
Mhm.
And my idea was that we would go out dancing, that we had even done some classical dance lessons together, the cha-cha, all those. And I had even bought some 2 numbers, a red number, a little red number, and a little black number.
Wow.
All he had to do
To
was
show up. This is
drive us there.
Pastor M, I don't see. I'm looking for. How do you mess this up, Pastor M? All you had to do was show up.
Drive us there.
So,
I had even found the
First of all, you
hotel.
should understand already that story has problems in it. It's already
Why? Why does
already
the
has
story have
serious
problems?
issues.
Why?
Because at this point the spouse has not been consulted. Nobody
But
has
it's
asked the
supposed to be a
spouse.
surprise.
Nobody has asked the spouse how they want to
Empowered.
celebrate their anniversary.
No.
Nobody cares. It's
Why
like
just- Aye.
so you can really see where the problems are coming.
No,
you
I'm
see.
with her. She
Exactly.
just wanted to surprise you and
So-
do something
So
nice.
now we're trying to
we
say this is
flow.
how pain starts
You
in
flow
marriage
with this-
because you
Pain
was
starts in
pain.
marriage by not informing the
By
other
not even
spouse. But
understanding
we
what,
can't have surprises, Pastor.
not understanding your spouse's love language.
You don't like being surprised and be taken on holiday?
No.
He doesn't.
Oh no.
Oh my
I did
goodness.
30 years later, she
Now
now
I know.
knows you don't do that to
Yeah.
me.
I did it last year by mistake for his birthday in
It
February.
doesn't.
It
It
didn't
doesn't
work.
work.
Okay, but
It doesn't
how?
work.
So
Yeah,
where's the
just
problem?
don't manage my life.
But she
Don't
can
create surprise. Don't create
my
experiences for me.
Don't.
Consult me,
But what the
because
expect to be a surprise?
I always have a plan. I always
Oh,
have a plan.
Pastor.
And you know what?
I'm that person. You see now, if you know your spouse, he always has a plan. So if you need to have a plan for him, discuss it in advance, or he changes his plan.
So we didn't go to Las Vegas?
We went. We went to
It
Las
was a
Vegas.
disaster.
It was a disaster. So
Suffice it to say, it was a very bad disaster.
so you had about two little numbers,
Yes.
a black one and a red,
Red
one.
one.
Yes. The idea is to go dancing. His idea was to put on jeans and sneakers. And we go hopping from hotel to hotel, seeing the various
Yeah, in Vegas
things of
once.
Vegas.
I mean, go
Yeah,
around. I mean,
imagine.
how do you go to Vegas and then you sit in a hotel
my
and look at
God.
each other? We can do that in Nairobi.
That is, Pastor,
Seriously, I mean, like,
Pastor, that is so
it's
not
Vegas.
the point. It's not the point at all. I'm not even seeing that point. I'm not seeing that point.
exactly. That's the whole idea.
Oh my
you see,
goodness.
so you need to understand how to see the point from your person's eyes. Okay,
Yes.
that was the bonus point.
That was a bonus one. Yes.
So you don't plan things. You
No.
involve him in everything.
Yeah.
No surprises.
No surprises. So for
That's
his
her
birthday,
person. That's her person.
Yeah,
People
that
are
is you.
different.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
Know
love
your person.
surprises.
Know your person. Yes.
Wow.
I love surprises, so we can go
So,
ahead and do
so
that.
I plan for her because
Yeah.
she loves it.
Yeah.
But for me, she involves me in the plan. Yeah.
So did you go? Okay, let me see. So did you go walking? Did you go from hotel to hotel?
First of all, we had a big fight
It was
in
a
the
disaster.
room.
It was a disaster.
Yes,
It was a
because of
disaster.
because what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
And
So-
we're already here.
Yes. So in the room we had a big old fight, and then after that, during that whole thing, so I give him my gifts somehow. Anyway, as we're trying to resolve this thing, I give him my gifts, and then he gives me his gift.
So now that was my mistake.
Oh my God!
So my gift was a CD by T.D. Jakes, Sacred Love Songs.
Yeah.
And one of the songs is about a woman trying to surprise her man by giving him what she likes as opposed to what he likes. Oh,
First
my
time.
God. Don't try this at
Wrong
home.
gift. Even me from where I'm saying
Don't
wrong
try
gift.
this at home.
Wrong gift. No, because are you trying to send me a message? You see that I'm already
No,
there.
I wasn't trying. I was
No.
giving her a message. I
Where
wasn't
is the-
trying.
No. What?
He wasn't trying. He was giving a message.
I was giving it to her, but just not the right way.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess marriage, like I said, those are things we can laugh at now. They are
Yeah.
fun,
But they were
Yeah.
not
but
funny
they were
then.
not funny then.
They
I
were
mean, those were
painful.
those things where you're like almost marriage enders, where you're wondering, oh, why am I stuck
I
in this
know.
marriage?
I'd have been so sad.
Have
and
I
I'd
married the
really
wrong
Have I
cried.
married the wrong
Did
person?
I marry the wrong person?
Exactly.
Why aren't we
Exactly. It was a very sad
Why
part.
aren't we being compatible?
But it was a very
Why
sad
isn't
part
he
of our
understanding
marriage.
where I'm
Exactly.
coming
All
from?
those things.
Those are my questions. I
Exactly.
said, why isn't he understanding where I'm coming from? With this, all I wanted to do
Yes.
was surprise him
Now,
and take him to
every
Vegas.
marriage
Oh my
goes
God.
through that season. Every marriage goes through that season. So, part of what we are learning now is, by sharing our experiences, what we're saying is, hey, come around to your spouse's side.
Yeah.
Begin to understand that you will never change them.
Yeah.
First of all, you're not going to change them. So, work on the only person you can change,
Yourself.
yourself.
My goodness.
That was a bonus, huh? Did you,
Yeah.
I don't even know
I
if that was
didn't
in the
make it in
book.
the book.
I
I
think
don't
it
think
did.
think it
did it
did.
make it to the
I think
book?
it's chapter 1. You can't change your spouse.
Yeah.
But
But
I don't
people
think you
say
shared
that
the
a
But I
lot.
don't think
But
we shared that.
we didn't
story.
share the story.
Story.
But people say that a lot, but they really try to change their
Of
spouses.
all of us,
Or
have
people
a spouse
really
changing
try
agenda.
agenda.
Every single one of us.
Yeah.
But we've got to lose that agenda.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you said you can't change your
Absolutely.
spouse.
Can't
Yeah.
change. Yeah. So when we got married, when we talk about the inability for you to change your spouse and to basically, I don't know, live with it. I don't know. Anyway, so before I got married, I used to take like an hour of preparation before going to bed. And I don't know what, I can't even tell you what goes on in that hour. You just get lost in
It's
your
just your
thoughts,
hour.
it's just an hour of unwinding, just entering bed slowly. I mean, it's just an amazing hour. Let's just put it that way. So when I got married, I quickly realized it does not work. It does not work. So anyway, after a few years of trying to reduce that gap from maybe 1 hour to half an hour, I think I lapsed back to my old self. So now I think I do maybe 45 minutes
Before
of
you-
Give or
preparing.
take.
Yeah, give or take. But one of the things I must say is that he did not complain. He just, I mean, this is the other side of adjusting to your spouse, or just getting to live with your spouse. He just found a way around it. And he reads books. So I always say, I've made you very clever, because at least you have 45 minutes
Pastor Carol, to read a book.
to read.
This
Do
is
what about
this is
reading?
it,
You're
Pastor Carol.
reading.
This is it. This is
Yeah,
it.
before I
So
come.
Yeah.
so that's actually lesson number 5
That's
Uh-huh.
also fine.
out of the
In this
the
book,
30. I've just looked at that.
Uh-huh.
That's actually lesson number 5,
Okay.
and it's the one that says what irritates
You
the
most is your greatest
is your
gift.
greatest gift. The thing about your spouse that
Oh.
irritates you the most, and this is a very important lesson for people to
Ah, yeah.
understand. Huh? We all have something about your spouse that drives you crazy,
Yes.
you know. And it's that thing where you're like, it's a thing that makes you want to quit the marriage, to feel like we're not compatible. In fact, people say we're not compatible, and it's this thing, you know. And that thing could be that they, like for me, when she says taking her time, for me, time is currency. Like I don't show up late.
Yeah.
I value time.
Yeah. You taught
I
us all.
start on time. I
Yeah.
end on time. In fact, for
Yeah.
me, my mantra in life is 10 minutes. 10 minutes to time is on time.
Mhm.
On time is late. That's how I've
Okay.
always operated. So now you marry a woman who 10 minutes to time is when she's beginning to remove clothes from the wardrobe. She's coming out of the shower. So for me now, I'm sitting in the car.
In fact,
I'm boiling.
In
I'm
getting
already thinking about.
Irritated?
in
my-
fact, you call it disrespectful.
I used to call it disrespectful. In fact, I say
Disrespectful.
now,
You're not
on
respecting.
by time 10 minutes after time for me is disrespectful. So now I'm sitting in the car, I'm thinking, what do I do? Do I hoot? Do I, it's like so annoying. And in those early days of your marriage, you're thinking, I can't handle this. Because I've even taught this to people. People know this is me. Then
you've
I'm the guy
taught
who's
us.
showing up half an hour late for
Mm.
meetings. And then I can't throw my wife under the bus and say it's her. So I have to take it now, suck it up like a man and say, we just come up with some reason. And then she's not even looking bothered about it. Huh? But you start to realize with time that God always brings opposites together.
Yes.
And the thing we've come to learn in life is, and this is that lesson number 5,
Yeah.
that if the two of us were the same, one of us would be unnecessary.
Yeah.
Wow, that's powerful,
Yeah.
Pastor.
So-
One of us would be
Yeah,
unnecessary.
God can't give you someone like you because you're already you.
Wow.
He needs to give you someone who has something you don't have.
Yeah.
And that something you don't have is what's going to irritate
Irritate
the
you.
heck out of you because it's not you.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
different from you. So like now for me, if I married someone who was always on time, what value has that added to my
None.
life?
None.
I already was on time. I didn't need someone to teach me to be on time.
Yeah.
I needed to teach someone to teach me how to
Be,
relax
and to be patient.
and to be gracious and to understand that things happen to people. It's not like I would take it so personally when people were late before. Now I don't, because
I
I'm
do.
like, even me, I'm late.
Yeah.
So it kind of made me also humble and
Relax.
and it's like God looked at me and he realized, you have issues, my guy. I need to
Mhm.
help you humble yourself. And let me give you a wife who will help you get there.
Yeah.
So it's the same for me. I know there are things for her that irritated her about me.
Completely.
And you see, it's the same thing. It's like that thing that you're saying, God, get this guy to change. God, I can't understand how you give me a guy like this. That's what you needed.
Yeah. I think marriage is character
what you
development, honestly.
It is.
speaking.
I think
it's
it is.
character
Mm.
development. I remember the thing that used to irritate me. Now it doesn't. It might still exist, but it doesn't. Was that I like things nice and orderly. I like so whereas he might like to be on time, I like my house to look a certain way. I like when we put books, they are nicely arranged. When I really do that. So when we were still students, we lived in a small house. It was a 1-bedroom house, and so our study was our dining area, and the door directly opened, and the first thing that you saw was
that
our dining table. Now, I have no idea about his filing. I don't know, but he believed, I don't know,
Believes.
believes that when you're studying or when you have books they can be anywhere. They can be on the table. They can be
Be
on
on
the
the
floor.
floor.
They can be
Because for me,
anywhere.
if I put it away, I'll forget I was reading it.
Yes.
I'll
Yeah.
lose my place. I'll
Mm.
forget my thought. So I want to, when I finish, I leave it there
Just-
because I'm going to come back to it.
To it.
Yeah.
So I have books in the toilet. I have books next to my bed. I have a book on the dining table,
We
and
have-
I don't want anyone to touch them because it's like
Mm.
when I come out, sit down and continue where I
With
was.
my
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
So at that point, I had to make up my mind. Am I going to have a happy life, a happy marriage,
Mm.
or a neat and tidy home?
That's
And
a good one.
yeah,
That's a very
what
good
do
one.
I want?
A happy
And I
marriage.
realized, okay, maybe a happy marriage is what I'm really hoping for.
Mm.
And so I believe it was just God's wisdom. I said, okay, we're in the forwarding and clearing business.
Mm.
He forwards, I clear. You know, that is our business, and it is clear. It's clearing. Because I think he'll also get upset when I cleared. It's a mutually
plan.
agreed, with a plan.
Put the books aside,
Yeah.
but leave them where I can
Leave
see
them
Leave
where
them.
they where
And
they
I,
were
and,
almost.
and I had to become comfortable with the fact that people are going to open that door. We're going to
And
have
that's the
visitors,
first thing they see.
and that's what they're going to see, and that's okay. Character development to the next level. That was anyway. Yes.
And I think it's the. Do you think in your experience it's the little, because you also counsel and minister to many people who, maybe who are having difficulty in marriage. I always find sometimes when I sit back and think about it, it's the little foxes. It's small things that cause a marriage to end.
Absolutely.
Whereas you wouldn't think that's something, but it's this little things that we
You
have
see, it's
to
so
look
irritating
out to.
because
Yeah.
it affects your perception of yourself. So I see myself as an on-time person. I see
Yeah.
myself as a neat
Yeah.
Neat
person.
person.
Yeah.
So now I'm having to redefine myself, and this
Mm.
person is threatening my view of who I see myself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I have to redefine myself to fit into who she is. So for example, for me, I had to learn, like she says, I carry those same books. I now put them in the car. So that when she's late, I get my book out. As she
Start
says,
reading
character
it.
development. Now I
Character
read the Bible
development.
more. I listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
Because now I know she
You
will be.
have
So
time.
instead of getting irritated and wasting that irritation, because it's not going to help anyone,
Mm.
I learned, man, I can actually become clever, like she's saying.
Mm.
Man, I have read the Bible, I tell you, since we got married. And I've read things I never would have read just because of waiting for her. And then you realize it's just who she is. She can tell that I want to be on time. So she's working at it.
Yeah.
But it's not always going to work right. And so rather than now becoming really, so what I started doing is also I manage her a little better. When I'm supposed to leave at 12, I say let's be in the car by 11:30. So there's a way that I know I'm going to sit in the car for half an hour, but
We're still on
be,
time.
it's
we'll
like
be somehow
marriage
on
is just
time.
adapting. It's a
Yeah.
dance.
I
You
like
just
that.
and she knows I'm
It's
managing her,
adapting and
but
it's a dance.
she's
Yeah.
okay with it.
Yeah.
So it's just that dance where instead of fighting each other,
About it.
we start understanding there's something she's added. There's
Yeah.
something this person is adding
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah.
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 And I love that part about the greatest irritability.
Yeah.
And then for me, first of all, congratulations. Really well done for doing Doa. I think that was really, really amazing. And I think one of the things that I love about Doa is when even Alti was getting married, we didn't consult, but she came. It's very important to know she came back to Doa. I couldn't say go and do Doa but she did, yeah. And I think it's something that has really helped a lot of people. And even on the podcast that she did with a few of her friends, it's something that they all talked about. So also thank you for putting together that program. I think it was from Nairobi Chapel, but I'm sure you've adapted it. And
No, it
made
actually wasn't. It was
wasn't
actually
from Nairobi
completely
Chapel.
from Mavuno. It was actually Karen and I. Doa is actually
Doa was from Mavuno.
Doa is actually
Look at us
version.
being
It's
shocked.
our
here.
Doa is version 1 of this book.
Really?
Because again,
Doa was
it's-
you guys.
It really
Yeah,
is.
it
It's
is.
10 lessons about marriage.
Oh my goodness.
Basically
well
from our
done.
experiences as
That
well.
was amazing.
Although we wrote it, of course, as a very young couple,
Mm.
but a lot of it is really what
Sora.
the difference is, again, and maybe that's one of the lessons in this book, that every one of you brings something unique to the marriage. And when you learn to be a team, again, those things that irritate you are actually the strengths that God is giving you.
Mm.
So for me, because I'm a writer and I'm a theologian, that's what I studied. I'm good at that. But Carol is a psychologist.
Mm.
And so we realize when we bring our strengths together, I'm able to teach God's word, but she's able to engage with the human condition because that's what psychologists do.
Mm.
So Ndoa is exactly that. Mizizi, the other program we've done together, is exactly that.
Wow.
It's the word of God connecting with the human condition. It would never have worked if I wrote it alone.
Mm.
It would never have worked
You
if she
needed
wrote
to
it
do
alone.
it with her.
So it's the teamwork of being able to bring her strength into it. So in Doha, we basically have an experience where people come together, they learn as a group, And it's really the principles of group therapy, which
Yeah.
is what she
Apply.
brought. So even Mrs. is actually group therapy. Most people don't
Wow.
realize.
We didn't
That's what it
realize.
is. You're teaching each other God's word. It's not a person instructing you.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
like, let's come into a space and let's share
Share.
experiences. And then we all find we grow, we become better.
Mm.
So bringing those social
that.
sciences
Mhm.
and bringing God's word together. So that's what Ndoa has been about.
Yeah, it's
We had an
amazing.
interesting experience. The registrar of marriages, we found out that when a couple comes, at least I don't know if they're still doing it, but a couple of years ago, if a couple came who had not been to any church, were coming to an AG marriage, that they would actually tell you there's a program called Ndoa, you need to go and look for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I feel like
That
it
is
really
so
has
great.
helped many. We're really
Many
grateful for that.
marriages.
Yeah.
Mm.
It has helped very many marriages. And so I'm so grateful for the book. But one of the lessons that I really love here is that you need mentor couples. And why I bring that out is because I think I'm finding that as I grow older that we need to do things with godly counsel. I'm finding that a lot of the decisions that I've made in the past that were not good decisions is because I made them alone, completely unguided. And that is something that I feel like we need to stop doing. But we also have a very independent generation who they feel they know everything. You know, you just you look at them. And now I'm looking like my parents. I just look at you because I know you don't know anything. But I think we're coming from a generation that feels they know everything.
Yes.
Maybe they have information overload, they can make their own decisions, but it doesn't work. So first of all, okay, talk to us about mentor couples, and I don't want to say convince them, but there's a place for mentor couples. You've got to look at people who have done this and who are able to model this for you.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting for us. We didn't have the wisdom to find mentor couples.
Okay.
For us, I'd say God
Brought them.
it's those ones where you're lucky, then you realize you aren't lucky. God just blessed you. So we happened to be the young couple at Nairobi Chapel.
Oh,
So
you
Nairobi
are.
Chapel was a new church starting up. Most of the people were couples in their early
In their
30s, late 20s.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we were like the first couple to get married.
Okay.
So it was a big hullabaloo. Everybody was excited. We're like those kids who they saw in college and now they're getting married. Everybody in the church was involved in our wedding. And so because of that, they had a very special interest in us.
Okay.
So we ended up really having access to many homes. Many couples would invite us to babysit for them and just to hang out with them. They just took an interest. So so for us, like I said, we didn't actually have the wisdom to find them. They found us. But then what happened, and this is the crazy thing about mentor couples, we found that because most of them were 10 years older than us,
Yeah.
we actually ended up having wisdom where we'd sit with our peers and we realize we're not thinking like our peers.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's the thing about mentors. You see, if you don't regard mentors, you just make all the mistakes they
All
made.
the
So it's
mistakes.
like 10 years, I'm going
We
to just
don't
make
want
all the
to.
mistakes, and 10 years from now, I'll be where you guys are.
No.
But when I sit with them and they begin to challenge us and we just watch them, it's not just what they tell us. Even as
Just
we
watch
watch them, hang out with them, we served them a lot, by the way.
Yeah.
Would do babysitting for them because many of them had young kids. But as you're in their house, you're watching how they're talking to each other. You're watching how someone's talking to their kids. So you just learn.
Yeah.
And so we'd find we're talking with our peers and things that your peers are wondering, how
How
do
do
you
you
know
know
that?
that?
Yeah.
But it's because we didn't have to go through the pain
pain.
of the lessons.
Yeah. And I know many people, they would say, I want a mentor, and they'll come and they ask, would you be my mentor? But honestly, the best way is to serve. We
That's a good
served
one.
these people.
That's so
I
good.
remember for Bishop Oscar, we would go to his house, would babysit his children. We had other people too who would request us, would you come and babysit? And that is where we saw life, real life on life. We saw, like for Pastor Bishop Oscar's wife, we learned how to make. She used to make banana bread. Now those days we're like, oh, what is banana bread? So you learn those kinds of things and you pick those kinds of skills, and you just learn how to run a home. You learn how to relate. How husbands and wives relate. And I would just say that was the biggest thing that happened to us. I remember when we were getting married, someone just telling us, do not focus on a big budget wedding.
Yes.
Don't do that. You
That's
would
a
rather,
very
of
good
course, at that
advice
time we
even till
were
today.
broke even if we
Yes,
wanted
but
a big
still,
budget wedding.
even till today, it's relevant.
It's relevant. But what he told us was, why don't you put whatever little money that you have towards your honeymoon? In other words, focus on your marriage, invest on your marriage, and because even from then and even today, people will focus on the wedding day and put very little
On the marriage.
focus on their marriage. And we're talking marriage is really what is going to make a difference.
Yeah.
And we challenge people that we tell them, how much are you investing in your marriage? I know you're putting this big event, but what are you doing for your marriage?
Yeah, and I always say something like, even I think there was either the Ndoa or the marriage retreats that people do. That would be a better investment than flowers, you know. And
Absolutely.
people don't understand. But the
yes.
flowers, we're the ones who carry them home. We carry the flowers. You don't even get to enjoy them only on the day. Then we take them home. So, but you've got to think about those things.
Yeah.
Do I want to invest in a 1 year, after 1 year marriage retreat? I read somebody who even they paid their rent for 3 months. You know how you get contributions?
Yes.
Because that's wisdom. There's
That's
an
wisdom.
after. After this day, there's an
Yes,
after.
there's an after.
And we continued investing, you know, even after the wedding. I mean, like you say, every year we paid for marriage
Yeah.
enrichment.
You
Yeah.
have to go on those
Because many people
things.
don't invest,
They
but
won't.
you're expecting to get returns.
No.
Yeah.
So it's like you're getting what you're trying to get something you haven't sold
No.
into.
Yeah.
So
I think even later in our lives, when we were in our 40s, I think, in our I don't know, mid to late 40s, we had of a group of older people who are coming together. That's Tamati by Anzai, I don't know. Anyway, so they were coming together as a group of people, and by then we had the wisdom to raise our hands and say, can we come and
Come.
be part of this group?
wow.
And they were, again, they're 5 to 10 years older than us.
So the group was for people in their 50s. So we
Yeah.
didn't qualify.
We didn't qualify.
But we were like, please, we'll serve drinks.
serve.
We'll come and serve
We'll
the
help.
tea. We'll help out.
Yes.
And by this time, yeah, we're in our late 40s, and we
Actually, it
learned
was mid-40s.
mid-40s,
not even late.
and
Wow.
we learned so much from them. That is where we learned from them that expensive schools, and you know how every parent is working to take the child to the most expensive school, thinking that they are providing the best for their child. And these older people were there talking and reflecting and saying, you know, we did that, but we cannot tell the difference between our children and the children of our peers who went to local Kenyan schools. They were saying there are those who went abroad and there are those ones who stayed there, and we cannot see the difference. And we were like, oh my God. So that had an influence on our on where we took our children to school. Because for them, they were telling us what really matters is the time that you spend with your child.
Yeah.
That is what is going to make a difference. Fine. I mean, you can still take to that school, but understand the school will not deliver for you that child that you're looking for. It is the quality time. And I think we have it here. It's one of the
It's one
I
of
don't
the
want to go
One
to
of the
those,
lessons there.
lessons, yeah. But I also loved. I remember parents would ask out here or come and say, or she'd hear us having discussions about the best school, and she says there's nothing like best schools. They're only best parents.
That's right.
That's the answer.
You're
Any
absolutely
whatever
right.
school you can take them to, and it's just to shock them, it's just to annoy others. She's like, what? She's like, there's nothing like a best school. It's a best parent.
So mentors, I mean, even at this age, we still have mentor couples. We still have people who've been married. We've been married 30 years. You'd think at 30 years, you don't know anything.
You
There's
don't
still
know
people who've been.
anything.
There are people now who have kids who are. I mean, now we're entering a new stage where our kids
Are getting married.
getting married, having children. That's a whole different stage.
It is.
Managing and leading adult children. We don't know. We don't know that journey. So we need couples ahead of us who are in that journey, so that we avoid the mistakes that they made.
Yeah.
So you'll always have people ahead of you. There are people now who are older than us who are now managing illness because you're getting older and retirement. We're not there yet, but this is a time for us to start learning what are they doing, what are the regrets they have, what would they have done different at our age. So if you isolate yourself, and it's true whether you're married or not,
Yep.
if you isolate yourself and you don't have mentors in your life, you will make mistakes that are unnecessary, and you'll go much slower than if you had people. So you're right. That's actually a really good one.
That's a really good one. I love
Let
that.
me tell you my favorite one.
Okay, sorry.
It's number 7.
Number 7.
Number 7. It
Can't
says,
remember
"Don't
everything.
forget to guard that net."
Oh, yeah.
Don't forget to guard that net.
That's my favorite one.
So which is the net we're guarding?
So that one was actually a lesson we learned. It's a very countercultural lesson.
Really?
Today, many people
It's a
compete.
painful lesson.
It's a painful lesson.
Very painful.
Because the world teaches us to compete. Anything you can do, I can do better. If you're in a career, you get married, you're a marketer, you're a doctor, you're whatever, and it's like you get to the top of your career, I get to the top of my career, we move fast. And it's almost like this is your business and this is your business. We're almost in two separate entities, not understanding we're actually one team. So the metaphor for us that became clear is we're on one team, We can't all be scoring goals and we've left the net unguarded.
What?
And that's what many couples are doing. You're leaving the most important, because you're in a soccer team, you need to have somebody scoring, but then you need somebody guarding the net.
Yeah.
In seasons in life, it changes.
Yeah.
So there are seasons when I was the one scoring the goals, and I'm the one whose career is bringing in majority of the income. I'm the one and Carol is guarding the net, because she's the one who at that point is looking after the children. Raising them, etc., etc. And those roles have changed. The time I was in school, and so I was much more at home, and she was the one earning a lot more. Many couples, what they do is they use that leverage. I'm earning more than you, so this is my money. And so you make the other person feel small, because again, you've not married, and that's another whole lesson. You've not married. Your wallets are not married. We talk about your wallets need to get married as well.
Oh, your wallets need to get
married. They have to get married. You cannot be married. There have to be a marriage for your wallets as well.
Wow.
So now what we realize is when we're not one, then it basically means I can't trust myself to be at home looking after the kids when you're working, because I don't know what you're going to do with you're going to now have the power in the marriage. But when you work as a team, you're able to realize. So for us, at one season, Carol actually quit. We sold our 2 businesses that she was running. And she came home because we realized these kids are so impressionable in this age. Someone needs to guard them. So that allowed us to be a team, because I was working. And for many people, they'll be feeling like, oh my goodness, I'm being left behind. I'm not advancing in my career.
And it was a real conversation, by the way. It was painful.
I can imagine.
Because at that time, there are very few people who are making those kinds of decisions to stay back. At that time, I'm looking at the women, and I'm saying, oh my God, this is the time to grow your career. I remember one incident, because I was running the business. I've always run our businesses when we are running them. And I remember we were 3 women who were in business, in a joint business venture, and being called for a photo shoot. And it was at Fairview. I think. And it was a photo shoot. And our faces were on, it was a magazine that was doing this for us. And I think, was it my birthday or anniversary? I can't even remember. But he decided to treat me and for us to
go
a
out
dinner
afterwards
and to spend the night at Fairview. Do you know, that thing did not register in my head.
The woman was so busy.
I was so busy.
So I basically got her out from her photo shoot and her car after they've organized their affairs and they've done all those big things. Took her out for dinner. She was sleepy throughout the dinner. Took her to the nice room that we're supposed to be having this night to celebrate her anniversary. She entered bed and fell asleep. I don't even know if she changed her clothes. She was so tired. So the next morning, she woke up and she was going for a meeting. And you're thinking, is this a marriage?
Yes.
And that's what happens to many people, because you actually don't have the grace to understand. We don't have to, getting there fastest is not how you win this race.
So good.
Yeah.
The cost, and I'll tell you the reward, because of her making the decision to actually sell that business.
And it was so painful, because I felt like I was falling behind. Because these women went on and, you see them in glamour magazines. It was really painful.
But then what happened then is she ended up spending a lot more time with our kids.
Yeah.
She ended up surrounding the home, so our kids were home more as they were growing up. And today, when in their 20s, our kids are phenomenal adults. They love God. Yeah. They love us. They love hanging out with us. They're adults now. They're all out of the home, but they come home for the weekends just to be with us.
Yeah.
That would never have happened if someone wasn't guarding them.
Yeah.
And so that's why for me it's an important lesson, because I don't think anyone's teaching that. That you have to work as a team. It can't be his or hers. We actually have to be willing to build one thing together.
Yeah. I think it's even a myth. There's a myth that you can do it all.
Yeah.
You can't do it all.
There's that myth, and there's the myth that we have to get to the top of the ladder.
We don't have to.
And it's even more reinforced when you see 40 under 40, 50 under 50, all those, society things that are going on. Because I remember, I slowed down, but you also did that.
I also took some
slowed down.
Yeah.
He slowed down the growth of Mavuno just because of the home.
So important.
And you just.
So there are things where you'd be called for events, or you'd have an opportunity to go speak somewhere, and I'd just be like, I need to be home with my kids.
Yeah.
And so there's a whole season when our kids were young when I just decided I'm not taking on evening things. I'm not going into places which were high opportunity places, and you can see it's going to really grow Mavuno. But it was like, no, there's a cost I have to pay. I have to slow down to guard the nets.
So we both slowed down.
And so I think that for me is an important lesson that I think a lot of people need to learn.
That's a very important lesson.
So I guess as people are reading this together, the question they need to be asking is, who's guarding the net right now? Where are our nets? What are the things we need to be thinking about as a couple right now?
Because the other thing we notice is that people are working hard, making a lot of money, but the family unit is suffering. Their children are suffering. Their children are feeling neglected. Their children are feeling there's no attention. There's no affection.
Yes.
Nobody really cares about me. And that's a bigger problem.
And then think
than
about
just getting
that,
all this money.
What's going to happen? You're going to be rich with kids who are in rehab.
Yeah.
Why would anybody want that? You know, I mean, and you've seen that. I'm sure you've seen that a lot now.
I've seen that.
Because our age is where the people are there now,
children.
is where your kids are in their 20s. And then they're in rehab. They can't keep a job. They can't even leave the house. And it's like, was it worth it? It actually wasn't. And so it's being able to say, how do you carry everything? You know, it's like juggling. If you're juggling, the time I remember sharing this in church where it's like when you have a juggler who's juggling balls and one or two falls, they bounce back up. But then I said, so imagine then instead of balls, you're juggling eggs. When they fall, they don't bounce.
They can't come
crack.
back up.
And there are some things we juggle that are eggs. You know, our children are eggs. Our marriage is eggs. There are things that our faith is eggs. And many of us, we juggle with everything like it's all the same. But there's some things, if they fall, will have lasting impact. So again, it's just an opportunity for you to learn from the mistakes we've done and then be able to say, how are we going to make it different?
Yeah, I really love that. Don't be child-centered. Sounds very countercultural, but I think Mavuno Church and the Wanjaus, you're very countercultural. But because you see, I think we say that a lot, but it's just children become the center of everything. I even heard something that I was like, hey, why didn't Pastor M teach me that lesson? But as you speak into that, you said you trained your children to serve you. I don't know where we were. I almost fell down. I said, how did I miss that lesson? It sounds crazy, but that's the truth. Because I've interacted with your children. Your children are amazing.
They are.
Very amazing, very wise, very confident, amazing human beings. You know, so anyway, don't be child-centered. The whole focus is marriage, is children. So what do you mean by don't be child-centered?
I think I let her talk because that one I learned from Carol. I must
really?
Say. She was a guru on this one.
When the children come, that's it.
So I think don't be child-centered is basically just understanding that your children are with you for a season and that they're going to go. And during that season, I mean, we made sacrifices and there are those things that we said, we made decisions to be there for our children. But then we also knew that we had a marriage and that we also had to teach our children that we have mommy and daddy time and that is a priority.
Wow.
Because what happens is that a lot of times people will focus on the children. We shall have children in sharing the parents' bed. And I've had crazy stories of a 4-year-old still in the parents' bed. I'm like, oh my God, how does this thing happen? But, there are those stories. And it comes from a good heart because as a parent, you want to give the best to your child. And so that is where, that's really the motive. But you forget that there's a marriage there's a marriage as well.
And there's you.
And there's also
because even for single parents, they make this mistake. Where you overinvest. And your child is not your friend. They're your child. They will have a life. They came to your life for a season for you to nurture, make them the best, and release to the world. And if you are going to invest in them like a friend, what's going to happen is, first of all, you're going to sabotage their leaving your house. Because you become too attached to them. And then they would want to go because now you've kind of put webs around them. And eventually you'll actually end up resenting that child, and they'll end up resenting you. So the key thing is just to be able to say, how do you create structures where, you asked about serving. She began to say to us, these kids, she learned, I think you learned this from your mom.
I learned from my mom. She said, teach your children to obey you and to serve
you. Not just to obey you, but to serve you. Because I knew the obey part, but I didn't know the serve part. And the
Yeah.
serve part
Even I didn't know it. I'm sure we were taught it was in our conscience.
it
So when
happened
she
to you.
verbalized it, I was like, oh,
Amazing.
this is what you are doing to us.
So yeah, so we started teaching them like early on. I mean, when kids are clearing their dishes from the table from an early age, it's like, okay, clear daddies and mummies as well.
Wow.
Because daddy and mommy have been out there working for your school fees. You don't
Mm.
expect them to also carry dishes like you.
Mm.
And it's like, oh, okay. And the kids would be very like, okay, let me
Mm.
carry that. It's fun. Teach them when it's still fun.
Mm.
We taught them how to, when
They started washing their own clothes.
they started washing their own clothes very early. But at some point when they were older, she actually taught them to wash my shirts. And it was a point,
Really?
sometimes, many times the maid would
Wow.
end up redoing. But
But
it's almost
they
like
had
I
to
want
start
them to
learning.
learn to serve their father. You know,
Amazing.
they would bring plates
Oh,
from the
that's
kitchen.
amazing.
Serve our plates. And then when we did dishes, they would do the dishes. And it wasn't child labor. It was because she actually said to them,
No.
listen, dad's been out the whole week working to
That's
provide the
wisdom.
meal.
That's wisdom.
So now your gratitude is when you serve him
Mm.
now in return by
Mm.
cleaning up.
Wow.
So our kids have grown up serving us.
Amazing.
They realize that this is their contribution to the home.
Yeah.
We told them when you're old enough and you have a salary, you can also bring money now. Then we have conversation. No?
Mm.
So in fact, we recently our kids left the house. Now they're all in college. So we recently bought our first washing machine
Wow.
and our dishwasher. All those things. I mean, they came home the first day. They're like, "What in the world?" Because they're like, "We were the dishwasher. You know, we were the washing machine."
Yes.
But here's the thing that happened. I mean, I remember our son. This is a fun story. Our son went to high school.
Oh, yes.
We took him to a boarding school in Shags, and this is another long story of how your kids need consequences that actually have
Yeah.
teeth. Huh? So I
You know
remember at
how
one
these-
point
yeah.
he had done his own things, and we were like, "You do
Shags
this again,
school.
you're going to a Shags boarding school." And he's like, so he went to a Shags boarding school. So the boy had this habit of, we taught them to be entrepreneurs. So he was making money in his other school. He wasn't focusing, paying attention.
And
So
he
it's
was,
like,
he was not making money in the right way.
and he was,
They were betting.
I mean, the boy was, he was running all
A
these kinds
little
of, anyway,
green.
long story. He gets into the school and then he comes for half term and the boy has so much money. You're like, how do you have money?
money like this?
Intentionally, we have this policy called scarcity. What do we call it?
Intentional. yeah.
Intentional scarcity.
So we don't give them
We don't-
everything they need. We give
Yeah.
them slightly less, so they have to work
To
for it.
work
For
for the
the-
rest.
So we didn't give
rest.
him like money to ball. It was just enough to get by.
But it was
Mm.
less than
The guy
what-
came back with cash and having so much fun. So we're like, how do you make money? He said, you know, I went to this school and realized all these foolish kids don't know how to wash clothes. So I made a laundry list. And he
Hiya.
said, shirts, this much,
Hiya.
trousers, this much,
Hiya.
what?
socks.
So he said, in the weekend, it would take me like 3 hours. I wash all their clothes. They all owe me. In fact, those kids owed him money. In fact, he was like a loan shark.
And he would use their
What?
soap to wash.
And then, yeah, exactly.
Use their soap to wash. So
So I
And
didn't know
then
that to be,
charge them.
and
I didn't
charge-
know whether to be annoyed at him or to be proud of him. But you know, part of it is because he's learned. Then our kids aren't afraid of work.
Yeah.
They know how to clean. I mean, they know how to. I mean, we wouldn't have a maid in the holidays, but those were things to teach them to value work, to
Yeah.
have a work ethic.
Yeah.
So teach your kids to serve you. It's a very important lesson because if you're
Very,
child-centered,
very.
where you're providing your kids what we always say, I want my kids to have what I didn't have.
What I didn't have.
But the
That's
problem is
mistake
what
that we
you had is what made you
make.
who you are. Now you're removing all those impetuses that make you such a hardworking person. And then you're hoping your kids will become like you. They
They
won't.
won't.
And they're going to become entitled. They're going to become soft.
Mm.
And so we really wanted our kids to learn. So from a very early age, I mean, when they were about standard 7, 8, they started taking matatus to school. They didn't have to, but we did. And I remember they knew they could go to town, they could go to railway station, they could catch a mat home. And all our relatives would be in shock, like,
Child
what?
abuse.
This is
Child abuse.
Because we have all those.
But you
tummy
know, they're
lumps.
Look at the responsible
The
human
amazing
beings
thing
that
is
they are. Look how they've
they
turned out.
even today, I mean, they know how to get around. They know how to shop in the places where
Toy,
their money will,
well,
their money will stretch.
Yeah.
But we also realize we're not growing them up for our economy. We're growing
Yeah.
them up so they can learn to make it on their own.
That
And
is
that's the
so,
thing,
so
every parent,
important.
single parent, married parent, you need
Yeah.
to understand you're bringing these kids up
To be
to,
able to
to
stand.
compete in the world with other kids who have learned to hustle. So you end up producing a soft child, and then
Yeah.
they'll go to a place where all the kids around them
Are
are
hustling.
hustling hard.
Yeah.
So teach your kids to have a spine.
And I must say that
Amazing.
for if you're middle to upper income earning parent, it's very difficult to think that I can have some scarcity, that I can have some intentional scarcity for my child, my goodness, it takes a lot, because people are not going to understand what you're doing. Your relatives are not going. What do you mean your children are entering matatus? Is that even safe for them?
Oh yeah, we got asked that.
We got asked that. We've gotten asked so many other questions. In fact, even they would ask, how come we're the only ones who are washing our own clothes? All our friends have washing machines, they have all these conveniences. So it's a countercultural thing, but you know what it is that you're trying to develop. So even buying clothes, we're like, okay, we will buy you, but we are not going to buy that extensive wardrobe that you're thinking about. You have to earn even for you to show up,
So they earn their money and then they go shop. And the crazy thing is, when they've earned their own money and they go shopping, they will not go to Mr. Price.
Brands.
They will not go to Sarit Center. They will go to Toy, because they want that money to last.
Yeah,
when
they
it's
want
your
to
money, by the way,
stretch.
they will spend that money at Junction Mall. Huh?
Yeah.
But when it's their money, let me tell you, they are so smart about it. Huh? And so I think those are some of the things we wanted them to learn, the skills, so they can succeed like we've succeeded.
And those are the skills that people need in life, because you have to, I don't know, I was saying earlier, or it even comes to mind how I have some people that I know who passed on parents and they left their children, but their children have not been able to survive. They've been through like 20, 30 homes.
Wow.
And in the end, it's not ended up well, because now how they live and where they live, even if their parents woke up today, they'd be so shocked.
Oh, dear.
But what they didn't do is they didn't equip their children to live, to survive, and to be with people even,
Yes.
You can't come and be a spoiled brat in my house.
No.
Please. We've even brought you in here. We're trying. But they went to so many homes. And now sometimes they even don't want to ask where they are, and what they're doing, because it's very, their parents didn't prepare them for life. And that's
now you're being a mentor right now just because of your experience.
Yeah.
And what we're saying then is, you need to have mentors. You need to have people speaking and sharing experiences. And for us, as we write a book like this, hopefully then it sparks conversations like these for couples. So you're able to sit down and say, okay, how do we do it differently? Because we don't learn a lot. There's stuff our parents never taught us. So some of this stuff you aren't taught by your parents, but you've seen it through experience. And that's what we're saying, is you need other people's experience to help you.
That's amazing. I want you to give your parting shots, but I'm also thinking, I don't know why I missed the lesson with Althea. You know, when Althea said she's getting married, I almost fainted. So, but that's just me. And my dad used to tell me. My dad said, you told me get a life, but he didn't explain. I was like, Dad, don't just say get a life. Okay, show me, teach me. What do you see? But what he was seeing is my life was so revolved around Althea. And then Althea is saying that she's being overwhelmed by love. I'm telling her, do you know that people are not loved? Explain overwhelming.
That's what she's saying. She's saying, I'm feeling like,
stifled. Stifled. Please go away.
And then you get offended when she says
very offended, extremely offended. Like, I'm trying to give you everything I didn't have, but now we are understanding. So I think wisdom is to raise children who can live on their own, engage with other people, be able to survive and thrive, because that's what we need. I think we need a different way, because what we've been doing is not working, and we can't say we're making money for them.
No,
maybe we make less money.
No,
but we have time
our money
for
can
them.
Destroy them.
This is it. Even our intention of going to make that money and not spending time with them is what is destroying them. Because like I said, I see them post, like, I think especially they're Gen Zs, and they say our parents were not there for us. But I'm like, first when I'm looking at you, I'm like, you look fed, you look clothed,
in a nice home,
you look like you were given a nice education. What are you talking about? But that's what they're talking about. They're talking about that attention. They were just taken. All these things is like going through the motions. But there was no like focus on them and the things they want to do, and they were. So that's the thing I'm seeing. That softness, that going further to develop this child, not just giving them education and the good things that you think they need. It's also teaching them how to be and how to live and how to thrive,
really well,
and how to survive.
I love it.
So I love it. So we're gonna get this book Better Together. I love it. I love the font. I love that it's actually it's got scripture. It's very practical. I really like it. This is a good
I hope
book.
it's like a gift you can give to a couple who's
definitely.
getting married,
I'm going to buy and get some.
Younger couple that you know.
And even people who are already married. And it's also, I think I was just feeling, it's a safe group. It's a safe book to do in a group. You know, so that's how you can't even say some of these things about the marriage. But if you go and read about them, then you're like,
are powerful.
You see yourself. Groups are very powerful. you see yourself here in the book, and it's a safe space.
Yeah.
So I think this is something that people can do together, 2 or 3
Absolutely.
couples together, and see how do we better grow our marriage. And they've seen
Absolutely.
another one, but I must leave it. Invest in each other, but we're out of time. Do you have any party shots? They always tell me we're out of time, but anything you want to
Yes.
say? I'm so grateful.
I think my parting shot would be that you have to invest in the things that matter,
Yeah.
and your marriage truly matters.
Yeah.
And you cannot outsource that to anybody at all. You can outsource everything. Even the job that you're doing right now, someone else is on the wings ready to take it up.
Yeah.
But there's no one on the wings to take up
Wow.
your space as a spouse, and for you to have a happy marriage. So invest in your marriage. It's the best thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So well put. I think for me, what I'll just say is there's a matrix, and we're in it. And the matrix is telling us how to live, how to make decisions, how to run. And unfortunately, it's wrong. You know, it's leading us to a life of regrets. And so I think for me, I'd encourage you get mentors. I think what Pastor Angie said was so amazing. You know, get mentors. And one of the ways to get mentors is get books, because you may not always be able to sit with somebody older than you in a room, but get wisdom. You know, the Bible says buy wisdom at all costs, and you can actually begin to intentionally direct your life the way you want it to go. So whether you're married, whether you're single, don't drift through life. Like, intentionally set your direction, and one of the ways to do it is by getting experience of others. So our belief is everyone can have a good marriage, everyone can raise good children, but it doesn't come naturally. You have to learn, and we all can learn. So that
That's
would
so
be my
amazing.
parting shot.
And I can't believe it. I'm like, what? And time has run out. Pastor, prayer frees you from the need to be right. Get the book. Prayer frees you
Yes,
from the need to be right.
absolutely.
The link will be in the description. Send the link, buy the book for others. This is a good wedding gift. Stop looking for wedding gifts. This is the wedding gift, because this is life. And like you said, you can be mentored by Pastor Carol and Pastor Muriithi without them being in the room,
Yeah.
because you have the material. God bless you. And thank you so much for coming. I'm so excited about this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.